Testing, testing.
Alright guys, so in today's video, Gabe and I are going to eat some ceviche, do a little mukbang moment.
Yep.
And we're gonna also talk about how we met, because I'm sure some people are curious. I know some people from San Diego are like, how did she meet this guy?
Yeah, because look at her,
Indiana?
and then look at me.
I just made some ceviche real quick.
Get it closer.
I got it.
It's freaking good, I know that.
It might be kind of spicy.
Wouldn't want it eating
I
it
say
away.
that every time. Oh my god, my mouth watered. I know people are supposed to eat tostadas with it, but I personally don't like eating it with tostadas. So we got our own chips. I usually like eating the Tostitos salsa verde kind, but they didn't have any, so I guess these will do. And then we have our little Bud Light lime for our beverage.
We recently just switched over because we've been drinking Modelo's for a good minute now, but...
And they've been making me feel so bloated. I was like, ugh.
This is, without a doubt, one of my favorite dishes.
Should we say, like, your version and then my version? And, like, how it all just, like, tied together?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the best way to describe it. Let me take a bite real quick.
Go ahead.
Got the coronavirus. Oh, let me get this guy. If you want some of my chips, tell me. I don't know how people... He's praying. I don't know how people can talk and eat at the same time. I think that's just like
For
so
real,
weird.
especially when it's this good. Oh my god. Oh, god damn.
Well, for starters, Gabe and my brother met in the army, and they're pretty much best friends. And so my brother, he was coming home for leave. Is that what you guys say it?
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember my brother telling me that he was going to bring a friend to San Diego. And so I didn't think anything much of it because I had a boyfriend at the time. And I was pretty excited. I haven't seen my brother in, I think like maybe 6 months or whatever. So I called him when I got off of work, which was probably like around 9 or 10, and asked him if they wanted to go to Buffalo Wild Wings. And so he was like, yeah, I'm down. He's like, my friend is going to come. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I was picturing like some tall white dude, and so literally in the back of my head, when every time my brother mentioned my friend, I was thinking, okay, some tall white boy. I went home to pick up my boyfriend at the time and tell him that we were gonna go have dinner with my brother, my other brother, and I was like, my brother's friend. So I was just really excited to see Chris. And so we get to my grandma's house. I call Chris. I'm like, hey, I'm outside. So my brothers are coming out of the house, and then I see like this, like, because my brothers are pretty short. He's pretty much taller than both my brothers. So I see this like tall dark guy walking with my brothers, and I'm just like, what the heck? Like, okay, I guess it's not no white boy. And so I see Gabe, and Chris is like, oh, this is my friend Louis, which is Gabe's last name. He's like, this is Louis. And then so I'm like, kind of like just in shock, because he literally wasn't someone who I pictured, and I thought he was, it's gonna sound to say it because I had a boyfriend at the time, I thought he looked pretty cute. So I was like, oh, Chris has a cute friend. But I would never date, well, I told myself I would never date any of my brother's friends because that's just weird. And so I reached out to shake Gabe's hand, and I thought, like, I would think that guys would take the initiative to shake a girl's hand if they first meet him. But he just like, I stick my hand out, and he just like slowly brings his hand and like lightly shakes my hand. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? Rude. I guess you're too good to fucking shake my hand. we get to Buffalo Wild Wings, and it was me, my boyfriend at the time, and across from us, it was my brother Jeremy, my brother Chris, and Gabe was sitting right across from me, you know, like a little date or whatever. Oh wait, you have a eyelash. I mean, there you go. Oh shit, did it get in there? Whatever. And so, see, I can't even freaking eat my food and talk at the same time. So Gabe is sitting in front of me, and when I'm talking to someone, when they're not giving me eye contact, what I like to do is look at them. So when Gabe looked away, I would quickly, like, you know, freaking scan his body.
Analyzing.
And then so I remember thinking, I saw that he had braces, and I had braces at the time too. And I was like, oh, he has braces.
Still got him.
And I was like, he's trying to fix his fucked up teeth. So we had dinner, we all talked, we all hung out. And yeah. After that day, I believe it was 4th of July week. Like they came around the time of 4th of July. So I get there, and so my friends and family know that I make really good micheladas. So I was making micheladas that day for everyone. And I knew Gabe, well, he's from Kentucky, so I'm pretty sure he didn't know what a michelada was, but I asked him anyway. And he was just like, oh, what?
Yeah.
And
What? What?
I was like, a michelada, and I showed him, pretty much told him what was in it, and he wanted one. So I made him one, and I think you were the first person I made the drink for, too. But I was just thinking, he's a guest. I'm gonna make him the first one. Dude, I'm all sweaty, and you're making me nervous. Gabe has such a unique style. I don't mean because he likes it. Gabe was wearing some like crazy swim trunks with like a white tank top and had like a freaking, I call it a bucket hat, but you call it something different.
I call it a boonie hat, bucket hat.
And were you wearing your fanny pack?
I was
and
wearing,
he was wearing a fanny pack. And I'm like, dude, this guy looks like a fucking dork. Might as well just write tourist on the top of his fucking head. You know, I honestly don't really remember much that day except for the michelada. And I took a picture with my Polaroid camera with him and my boyfriend at the time. Because honestly, I just really wanted a picture of him. I don't know why I just couldn't do it with you and Chris. But I did it with you and Chris. I still remember
that. You know, I thought that was kind of odd.
Oh, I thought you said hot. I was like, no, that wasn't hot.
Oh, yeah. All right, cool. So, all right.
I can finally eat.
I remember when Chris and I first met, it was in Poland. And when we got back to the States, he tried talking me into going to San Diego with him. He asked me if I've ever been there. I said, no, never. And I said no the first 2 times. Because I just wanted to come to Kentucky to visit my younger sisters.
You said you wanted to go to Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to go to Hawaii and then Kentucky. And I said no the first 2 times to Chris, you know, because I just really wanted to treat myself. I wanted to explore. And I don't know. I remember getting off work late one night, coming home, and I was just, I don't know, I felt kind of bad. So I called Chris up and I told him, I was like, all right, I'll come to San Diego. So I told him that. He was excited, he's pumped. And one thing this kid did not tell me, and I've known Chris a year, all right, basically a year before he get back to the States. He never once told me he had any sisters. Any sisters. And so, long story short, we both fly to San Diego, right? I meet his mom, you know, hi, you know, I tried to say a joke, she didn't really acknowledge it. And Chris,
it's because he's over here saying ass and titties and bitches, and my mom's like, what the fuck?
Not just me, your brother. When we get to San Diego, right, we settled down, you know, relaxed a little bit. I'm starving. All right, I have not ate, and finally, it's like going on 10 o'clock, if not a little bit after 10. Chris finally said, well, he asked me, he was like, hey man, you hungry? You feel like eating at B-Dubs with my girlfriend and her boyfriend? And I was just like, dude, yes.
Your sister. You said my girlfriend and her boyfriend?
Damn, am I drunk?
I was like, Yotso wasn't there.
Well, he asked me, he was like, hey, you want to eat at B-Dubs with my sister and her boyfriend? And I was just like, sister? In my head, I was like, you know, he had a sister. But whatever. I was so hungry, it was for a split second, like, sister, okay. Yeah, I'm down, I'm so hungry. Well, when Deb and her boyfriend at the time showed up, where we walk out, and it's a full moon, okay?
I don't know how he remembers that, but it really was. I looked it up.
She literally went all the way back to the day when we first met.
Yeah.
Well, the night.
And then I checked a moon chart to see if it really was a full moon, and it was.
And because Deb, she told me, you were like, how could you even see me? You know, because it was dark. But dude, babe, she was so pretty. Still is. I just remember walking up. I wasn't thinking anything of it. I was just wanting some food, you know? And I remember just walking up and, you know, I didn't get a good look at her at first because her and Chris hugged immediately, right? You know, I'm just letting them share their moment. When Chris introduced her to me, oh, dude, I was like, what the heck? Dude, your sister is...
Well, he didn't
I'm gonna get in trouble. That's what I'm thinking in my head. But I shook her hand. I just remember thinking how beautiful and how small she was. It was just... She's perfect. She's beautiful. And we went to B-Dubs and we just smashed, and Chris and...
We smashed?
Yeah, we smashed some food. We smashed some food. All right, or I did at least. Her brother Chris and Jeremy just did the hottest wing challenge or whatever. I don't know why they
were freaking dying. It was so funny.
They were sweating. It was sweating so much. It was kind of gross.
And I remember my brother was like, "Hey, Louis, do you want some?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm good."
I was like, "No, I'm good, dude. Thanks." But I just. You know, Deb said that she was kind of like glancing at me every chance that she could, you know, when I wasn't looking, but I know I couldn't stop looking at her, man. I would like take glances at her too and stuff. You know, I wasn't really saying much unless someone spoke to me, but it was a good night. Deb looked really pretty, and the time that I was there, we got to see each other, see 2 more times. The next time that we would see each other would be at your aunt's house. That's when Deb made me my first ever michelada. I don't even think I said it right the first time because Deb asked me. I was like, a what? We were meeting up at Old Town, right? I'm not with Deb. I'm with her mom, Chris's fiance, and...
Was Jeremy there?
And I don't remember Jeremy being there. I just remember your mom, Chris, Yosa being there. But anyways, none of them has an iPhone, and I remember giving Deb my location so she could find us, and I remember thinking, oh dude, I gotta delete this number when all this is done and over with. I don't know, there's just this rule, you just, I don't know, call it a bro code or something, but you just don't date, talk, or have any sort of relationship with some of your best friend's sisters. You just don't. It's a no-go. So I deleted her number, you know, when I was heading back. I'm not gonna lie.
I kept it the whole time.
And did I want to delete it? No, I didn't. But it was for the best. I think as a matter of fact, when I deleted it, I was like,
oh. You're lying.
And yeah, I was on my way back to Fort Carson, Colorado, because that's where I was stationed. And that was home for me at the time.
So from there, we pretty much, I think I followed him on Instagram. I found him on Instagram. And I saw my brother Jeremy, my uncle Steve, and my uncle Leonard were following him. I'm like, who the f does this guy think he is? Like, thinks he can just freaking follow my family. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna follow him too. So, and then I think I had added him on Snapchat because I had his phone number saved. His phone number is linked to his Snapchat, so I was able to add him that way. And then we just started, I wouldn't say talking, like dating talking, but we just kept in touch. Like,
it was just random, friendly.
It was just a friendly,
first, yeah.
It was a friendly relationship. Like, we never had, oh shit. And we would just check up on each other, and like, he would send me snaps of him and my brother working out at the gym. Even though I was low-key just looking at Gabe, no one gives a fuck about my brother. And so I feel like Gabe and I we literally kept in touch the whole time. I think like maybe we didn't talk like all day, every day, but like, it was just
throughout the week, throughout the days, throughout the weeks.
Yeah.
Either she messaged me through one of my snaps, my stories, or she would just snap me. You know, like, it honestly, genuinely, it was friendly at first, actually for a while. And
wait, but we kept it that way, obviously, because I had a boyfriend.
Yeah. And
he respected his friendship with my brother, and obviously respected my relationship with my boyfriend at the time. Like, I don't think there was a time like Gabe ever crossed any lines. So I just want to put it out there. I don't want to make it seem like I was flirting with him while having a boyfriend. So one time I was talking to my mom. I used to just say some like mean things, but it was kind of just like funny mean things. So him and my brother would like pick on me, and I would say shit like, you guys should have been swallowed. Like, fuck off, leave me alone. And so that's just the type of stuff I would say to Gabe. And one day I was talking to my mom, and my mom was like, you need to stop flirting with Gabe. And I was like, what the heck? I'm not flirting with Gabe. And she was just like, yes, you are. You're leading him on. And that low-key made me kind of mad, because I thought Gabe told my mom that he liked me or something, or that like I was flirting with him. And I was just like, did Gabe tell you something? And my mom was like, no, I just know that there's something there. And I'm like, Mom, there is nothing there. Like, what are you talking about? Gabe and I are just friends. And she's like, friends. So like, I don't know, my mom saw something.
Yeah, I guess she saw anything before we actually did.
So my brother and his wife, they got engaged at that time, right? Or was it before? Well, they were engaged.
They were engaged.
And so Gabe and I met in 2017, and my brother was getting married 2018. And so Gabe was gonna come down to San Diego with my brother for my brother's wedding. Well, one of his weddings, because my brother had two. And I was so excited. At this time, I was single. I'm gonna put that out there. I was single at this time. So I was really excited to see Gabe. But I was going through some things at that time, and I have family in Colorado, so I really wanted to go to Colorado just to like clear my mind and just, you know, be around positive people and just have a good time. So when I was on my way to Colorado, keep in mind, like, Gabe and my brother are stationed in Colorado. So I'm on my way to Colorado. Gabe like sends me a snap saying he's on his way to SD, and I'm like, what? I'm on my way, and I Snapchatted him, and I was like, dude, I'm on my way to Colorado.
Dude, I was so bummed out. I was like, when she sent me a snap of her like being in Colorado, I was like, dude.
But it was just a weekend. I was only going to be there for 2 or 3 days. So I was going to see Gabe when I came back, because that Monday, it was my brother's wedding. So when I flew in that day, it was my brother's wedding and Gabe was gonna be there. So I thought to myself, I gotta look good. So I put on this really nice blue dress. It was like, the back was like a V cut, so it kind of showed my back. I looked good. But at the same time, I felt like I was dressed up too much. Like I didn't want to make it seem like I was overdressed, but I was like, whatever. And so I remember I called my mom and I was like, hey, I'm at the courthouse. Like, where are you guys? And she told me where. And as I'm walking up the stairs and I turn left, turn right, I see Gabe like with my brothers. And I'm like, my stomach just like twisted and knotted. And I was like, oh my God, Gabe is here. And maybe I look like a prostitute. Maybe he doesn't think I look cute. And like, I was just so nervous. We have this one picture. I'm gonna insert the picture. And it's just like a whole family picture. And I think it's really cute because it has my mom, my brother Chris, and his wife, and then my brother Jeremy, and then me and Gabe. And I just think it's so cute. Like to this day now, like I have the picture framed and it's just so cute.
Before Deb and I was anything.
Even a thing, yeah.
And I guess in the picture,
Gabe touched my butt.
I don't remember touching her butt, you know.
So Gabe was right here, my other brother was right here, and someone touched my butt. I know it wasn't my brother because my brother would have been like, oh shit, my bad. So when I was waiting for my brother to say that, but he didn't, I was like, oh my God, Gabe just touched my butt.
It's just, I remember when I first saw Deb, she was wearing this blue dress. And
he said he really liked it because it's his favorite color, which I didn't know that.
Blue's my favorite color, and that's what color her dress was. And it just the way it hugged your body, she looked good. She looked good, like the Last Supper.
So that night, it was a little party for my brother and his new wife. And
we didn't talk about them.
Talk about what? I really don't want to. So
You kind of have to, right?
it was the little like ceremony party, whatever thingy you want to call it.
After party.
I was with my mom. I forgot your name for a second. I was with Gabe and my brother Jeremy and my other brother, but he was off and on because, you know, he had to entertain his guests. And so I remember when one of them mentioned to me that they like Jack Daniels. And so there was a liquor store down the street. And so I told my friend, I was like, hey, let's go get a bottle. Because I really wanted to drink with Gabe. So this is my chance. I get to talk to Gabe, get a little drunk. Nothing even happened. But we took a shot. And I don't know. I just feel like to me, I had a vibe from Gabe that he just didn't want to talk to me. Like, I just felt like, I don't know if it's because he was really excited to go home and see his sisters and he just really wanted to be with his family, or like he just wasn't interested in me. So I just took it that he, like, I'm not going to make a move on him. Like, I'm just like, no, I'm not going to talk to Gabe. So what I did is I brought a guy to the party. But it's only because Gabe never like expressed anything to me. Like, I'm not no freaking mind reader. Like, you can't just think that I'm going to freaking throw myself at you. The guy came to the party, and as soon as I brought him, my brother obviously like looked at him weird. And then this guy right here, his mood changed in a freaking second. Like, I thought he was in a bad mood before, but when I brought that guy, he was even more like just so serious. Like, he was hunched over and just like did not want to be there. I think like within 5 minutes, Gabe left. I felt so bad because right then and there, I was like, dang, I think maybe Gabe does like me. Like, why would he leave? We still kind of talked, but
Not as
our
much.
friendship wasn't pretty much, you could say, the same.
Yeah, I was leaving the next morning, and I was gonna catch a flight to Lexington, Kentucky. So that's what happened, and I remember saying goodbye to everyone.
You didn't say bye to me?
Except Dad. Yep. Because it got to me.
But honestly, Gabe and I talk about this all the time. If we did talk that night, if we did like express our feelings, I think maybe, you know, try to be in a relationship, because I believe like a couple months after that, he was going to go on deployment. Like he was going to go to Kuwait with my brother.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, like, you know, I could probably trust Gabe, but at the same time, I don't want to put myself through that. I feel like if we tried things, he went to Kuwait and I was in San Diego, I would have felt like it wouldn't have worked. I don't remember if it was before Chris's wedding or after, but my brother called me drunk one day. And he was like, why don't you date Lewis? And I was like, because of what I'm going through. And he was like, come on, you need to date Lewis. And I was just like, okay, where did this even come from? I was like, how are you gonna just call me to date your friend? That makes no sense. And then he's like, trust me, it's just like, he's a good guy, he would treat you good, I know you would be happy. And Gabe was talking to, I don't know what he was doing with this chick. He was doing something with this chick. And so I told my brother, I was like, no, he's talking to so-and-so. And he was like, no, he's not. I promise you he's not. It's just, she's crazy. And Gabe is a really nice guy. And I was like, I don't need no friendly guy. I was like, I need a guy who's going to put a bitch in her place.
Which, by the way, I wanted to. It just wasn't that easy.
The fact that my brother told me to kind of made me feel a little bit better talking to Gabe. It didn't make me feel like I was hiding behind my brother's back and like being sneaky about it. When I got my brother's consent, I was like, okay. You want to tell them when Chris told you?
Chris and I, our rooms were right next to each other back on base. And Chris would literally just make himself at home. He came in one night and he just told me, he was like, hey man, he's like, well, he asked me, he's like, you and my sister, you guys got a thing going on or something? I guess it's because he saw, I guess he's like your mom, he just saw something. I'm not intimidated at all by Chris or anything, but you know, it's just, I just wasn't expecting Chris to walk into my room and just throw that question out there.
Do you remember when this was?
I remember,
like if it was before or after his wedding?
It was after your wedding, babe.
His wedding.
No. Oh yeah, it was after his wedding. I was just like, I was like, no, dude, it's just, no, she's cool. I wouldn't do that to you, man. You're one of my best friends, you know? And he's just like, well, I know you would treat my sister really good. And I love you, dude. And if you ever want to date my sister, it's okay with me. I was like, what? I was not expecting that, you know, but.
So, one day, so Gabe and I had stopped talking for a while. I think we stopped talking maybe like 4 or 5 months. So, what had happened was, so I had moved back in with my mom, and I had just got out of the shower, and I heard Gabe's voice, and I was like, what the? My mom is talking to Gabe? And so, but I heard them talking about me. So I sat in the living room with my mom while she was talking to Gabe. And my mom, this is how I found out Gabe liked me. Gabe was telling my mom that I don't deserve to be, or the guy doesn't deserve me, who I was talking to at the time. He was like, she deserves someone who's gonna treat her good, and like, Deborah's so beautiful, she needs someone better. And then Gabe said I would treat her better. And I was like, what the heck what is going on? I was like, oh my God. I was like telling my mom, I was like, Mom, get off the phone with Gabe. And she was just like, so he was just pretty much like opening up to my mom about how he felt about me. And I was just so shook. I was just like, oh my God. But also at the same time, I was just like, oh my God. And so I kept telling my mom, because I wanted that conversation between Gabe and I. Like, I wanted to have that conversation with him about, like, you know, expressing our feelings to one another. I didn't want to fucking hear it from him, like, telling my mom. So what I did is I messaged him and I said, get off the phone with my mom. And he listened to me. He got off the phone with my mom. And then so he told my mom, he's like, oh, Deborah messaged me. And my mom was like, don't listen to her. Don't listen to her. And then Gabe eventually just hung up on my mom.
Hold on.
Oh.
Her mom was also telling me, because I did open up, but she also told me, she was like, you want to know how you get my daughter?
No, wait. No, my mom was telling him that I was going to marry the guy who I was talking to.
Yeah.
And that made me so mad because I was like, I'm not going to fucking marry him? Like, what are you talking about? So it made me upset that she was telling Gabe that. What were you saying? Sorry.
Yeah, so she told me that Dad was going to marry the guy that came to Chris's wedding at the time, right? That's what she told me. And it got to me. Like, all over again. It hit me hard. And then she still, like, afterwards told me, she was like, you want to know how you get my daughter? And then I was like, how? She was like, you just gotta be mean. You gotta be mean to her. And Ignore her, you know, because Deb is into rude guys. And I was just like, well, I'm not a rude guy, so I was like, whatever. I was like, I'm not a rude guy, and I would never be rude to your daughter. So I was like, if that's what she's into, then...
The way I saw it is like, this was my opportunity to talk to Gabe and to like express my feelings to him because I knew how he felt. So I messaged him and I knew he was drunk, and I said, since you're drunk, I know you're drunk, I want to talk to you tomorrow. My fucking message never sent. It didn't even deliver because
I blocked her.
He fucking blocked me on everything. Well, we only had Snapchat and Instagram together. But I was so fucking upset. I was finally gonna, like, you know, have this serious conversation with him, and he decides to freaking block me. After I just found out how he felt about me and all this stuff, and I was just like, wow. He really freaking blocked me. So we didn't talk.
For like
4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then one day, I decided to make a new Facebook. I saw Gabe pop up as my friend's suggestion, and I added him. Took him about fucking 2 weeks to accept it, because I thought he was still mad at me. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, dang, this guy
hold on.
Does not want to have anything to do with me.
So...
Babe, let's take a shot.
Deborah makes a Facebook, and she sends me a friend request. But before I know it's actually Deborah who sent me the friend request, when I looked at the new friend request that I had, I saw Deborah. Well, I noticed her last name was spelled different, and I didn't know this person. I click on it and I noticed that it was her, and I was like, what? Because I did have her blocked and everything, and then it hit me, and I noticed that we never had a Facebook. Well, we were never Facebook friends because she never had a Facebook.
Well, I did. I just never added you.
One night, I get a message from Deborah, and she said, happy birthday.
No, that's not what I said. That was not what I said. I said, how have you been? That was my first message. How have you been? I messaged you before your birthday.
You did. But I thought you also said something about my birthday.
No, that was days. I told you days before your birthday. I said, "How have you been?" Because you know how called you on the phone, and we were talking on the phone. That was before your birthday.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We ended up talking on the phone for, I would say, at least a good, maybe close to an hour. Because it was late and I had work. But I remember when I first heard her voice, I was just like, "Wow, you sound just like your mom over the phone." It felt so good to hear her voice.
I know. I was so happy to talk to him.
And
so that was like in mid-July of 2019.
Yeah. And
then ever since then, like...
What do you think, babe?
What?
Like, what would you say? Just things kind of picked up?
Yeah,
really
we just started talking.
And
I
finally...
texted him and asked him what my nail color should be. That's how you know I was into him.
Yeah.
And then... he asked me, because he was here in Indiana and I was in San Diego, he asked me when I was going to go visit. He's like, "When are you going to come visit me?"
I was just kidding, you know.
And so I was like, "Shoot, next weekend." And I mean, it wasn't that weekend, but like we planned it, and I eventually came out here and visit him.
We had such a good time. We shotgunned some beers.
No, we didn't.
And we didn't?
We didn't? Who the fuck are you confusing me with?
Was it when you officially moved?
It was when I officially moved here. I don't know why we didn't drink. We should have.
I think maybe I didn't want you to think I was like
trying to seduce me with alcohol.
Yeah, or something like that, you know?
So we were talking at that time. But we obviously I didn't want to do long distance. So I was like, how the fuck are we going to do this? And so I was planning on moving to Colorado. And one day his sister brought up the question first. And she was like, "So Deb, there's an American Eagle out here. And there's a spare room at Gabe's place." And I'm just thinking...
I don't know why she said spare room.
But, so that just made me think. I was like, oh shoot, like maybe Gabe has already talked to his sister about
all the freaking time
moving over here. And so one day, Gabe just asked the question and was just like, instead of moving to Colorado and spending more money, why don't you just move over here? And I was just like, I wanted to bring up the question anyways, so I wasn't like felt weird about the question. Yeah. I was just like, okay.
We were already talking. We were over that, that bridge where it was just friendly talk and stuff. And we were serious.
Yeah.
We were serious, and I was ready for it. And here we are.
Yeah, when I came down here to visit him, I liked it. I liked being with him. I liked being in his apartment. It felt like it was the right thing to do. It didn't feel awkward. I didn't feel awkward at all. Maybe like I was a little shy at first because I was just like, oh my God, this is my brother's best friend. Like, I just kissed my brother's best friend. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, oh my God, I'm sitting on a bed with my brother's best friend. Like a month and a half later, a bitch is in Indiana. So I guess you could say that, like, this is kind of how we met and how it led on to how, like, why I'm in Indiana and how we're together. Because I'm sure some people are like, what the fuck? Where did Gabe meet this girl? Same reason, like, my friends and family are probably like, what the heck? Where did this guy come from?
Yeah, because Deb is from here. Well, more like here, then I'm all the way from over here.
Yeah, literally almost across the country.
Yeah, and I was raised in a very small town on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. And I lived in a big city, big beaches. Freaking everything is crowded. Like, literally, we are from two different worlds.
Are we?
Soulmates?
Are we in love? I wouldn't want to be with anyone else. God.
Okay, let's take the shot. You're gonna check a chaser?
No. What, you don't think I can handle it?
No, because you eventually always need a chaser. I got goosebumps.
You got it.
It's just because it's warm. All right, so So that concludes this video. Kind of gives you guys a little information on how Gabe and I had met.
Yep,
and
better understanding.
True, and like how we are now like together, living together, starting a family, living happily ever after. And yeah.
Oh, we don't have a family yet.
I said starting a family. We start the family.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought
you see, because you know the sperm makes its way to the egg.
What? Is that how that works?
I think. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Dang, we haven't done this in so long. It feels weird. But anyways, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe down below and hit that bell button right next to it so that you can get notified every time we post a new video. And our social media handles will be right down below too. Don't be shy. You can follow us. It's okay. And yeah. I don't know when we'll upload a new video, but we're trying.
We're trying, guys.
Trying.
We're trying.
Bye, guys.
Oh, goddamn.
Wrong place.